This is the Sport Fishing Championship.
Stop number 7 of the Sport Fishing Championship. We're at South Jersey Yacht Sales Offshore Showdown, Cape May, New Jersey. We're on the southern tip of New Jersey, and the Garden State looking pretty peppy down there. If you're a vacationer, this is a place to be. If you're from NYC, about a 3-hour drive south. From Philadelphia, you can make that move to the right. It's about an hour and a half, 2 hours outside of that. And again, work your way down south and head out towards the east in the Atlantic Ocean if you want to catch some big billfish this weekend.
A lot of cardinal directions you're throwing around there, Robbie Floyd, but we are in Cape May, right on the tip, and we're looking to catch and release as many blue marlin, white marlin, sailfish, and all of our championship division meat fish as well, yellowfin tuna. We'll see all of those come into play, the storylines this week.
I'm Robbie Floyd. He's Ronnie Moore. And Ronnie, we can kind of tell it's going to be a tough week. I mean, without any doubt, we're talking about now in the Atlantic Division as the Gulf Stream works its way up north. Did it bring with it those currents, that warmer water that we know that the billfish like to follow?
Well, we know from the tone that we've had all season in the Gulf Division and even the Atlantic Divisions, the one that happened in Dominican Republic and St. Augustine, they were so long ago. It was a different season of fishing, Robbie. So we're definitely getting into the summer patterns up here. Things are changing, and it's kind of like getting a restart to the Atlantic Division, almost like way back in Louisiana for the first Gulf event. We're really getting a feel of the field that's competing and also the playing fields they'll be dealing with.
Several teams took off this morning. They were able to leave at 4:30 a.m. They started fishing at 8 o'clock. Had to be in by 3:30 Eastern. Our Garmin Team Spotter has the teams out there. Now, Ronnie, what's different about this event is that 100-mile radius from Cape May. You can't go outside that barrier. You see some of them pushing it all the way up to that drop.
Well, for a lot of reasons, and Robbie, as we go through our first catch alert of the event, it is not of a build variety, but it is of our championship division fish, the Invincible Boats, yellowfin tuna. Team Gypsy, 9 o'clock this morning, right around when we were finishing up our show earlier, they registered a yellowfin catch.
And they're out of Rock Island, Rhode Island. Taylor Stanford putting them on those fish, and they're going to be fishing the next 2 weekends, I've been told, too. So they may be in this for the Atlantic Division Championship. Right now, we already know another team leads that. We'll talk more about that in just a bit. But
there'll be a team to keep their eye on.
Exactly, but some different formats, some different ways of doing things. One of them is they cannot use live bait to catch these fish this week as well. They need to use lures.
You mentioned it. No live bait, lures, also the restriction 100 miles, also the time restriction of lines in and lines out. You don't want to go much farther than 100 miles because your time of fishing will be so limited. But Team Gypsy getting on the board early this morning in a couple of our divisions of fish.
A good sign right there. Whenever you throw that fighting belt on, you don't know what's on the other end, but either way, you know you have something on the line and they're ready to bring it in.
Good job, Jeff. I got color here. Got a gash here. Huh? Lift and reel down good. Go up, pump it a little. There you go. Keep doing that. Crank. There you go. First one of the canyon season, boys. Good job. Get him back out. Good one, Jerry. How's it going? My name's Taylor Sanford, captain of the Gypsy. Fishing day 1 of the Offshore Showdown. We started off the yellowfin early. It's been quite slow since. We got an update on our charts. Saw that there's a little better altimetry up inshore, so that's the plan now, is push inshore and keep looking.
Angler Jerry McGraw bringing that first fish of the weekend in. It's not the blue marlin. Now, if that were a blue marlin, that'd be an extra 100 points, but it's good to see another championship fish in there. Will it be our biggest fish of the Sport Fishing Championship? I'm not thinking that's a 200 pound.
Hey, Drew Phillips, he set the bar high in Biloxi, 206.9 for the yellowfin tuna by Invincible Boats Division. Well, you mentioned it, though, before we got to this catch. Lures, artificial, a lot of different strategies in play. Also, Robbie, we're still waiting. A blue marlin release for these teams is going to change the game because The finishing points are going to be so key for these teams.
And that bait right there, that is to catch a tuna. You see the daisy chain one after another, and doing some of my research for this event, I was hearing how, speaking of that, we have more catches throughout the day. You see not one, but two, but three yellowfin tuna caught. It looks like Outrage jumped into the party as well.
Outrage at 316. Hey, there might have been a bite window there for the yellowfin tuna because Outrage and Gypsy around the same time period reported catches of yellowfin tuna. They're trying to get in on that championship division prize pool as well. And what's cool is you can fish one SFC event and be in the running for the $50,000 of those prize money.
John Doherty and Andy Kilwitz, the two other anglers with catches. Let's go on site with Site 1. There's the man himself, the man with all the pressure on him, the tournament director, Aaron Hoffman. Good to have you on board here at the Sport Fishing Championship. It looks like you got cloudy skies. How's the weather there?
Lost him.
He lost us for a second. I don't know if he'll be able to hear us, and sometimes we do have a lag here. We heard that there was rain this morning onshore, but offshore we heard it was actually good weather there. Aaron, if you are able to hear us and jump in, feel free to do so.
For sure.
But that was one thing that you always look at what's happening onshore, but we were hearing reports offshore that it was actually fine.
Yeah, you can have whole entire weather systems, Robbie, just 50, 60 miles offshore that never make landfall but affect the anglers out there competing. We saw that with Biloxi, that late evening one in the Gulf. It really hit the anglers hard in the evening. It never really made landfall until the next day.
Let's talk about one thing, and that's the Sport Fishing Championship big picture, the overall points. Of course, we have the Gulf as well as the Atlantic, but the big picture is somebody's going to win $1 million at the end of this season in Puerto Rico.
Yeah, and a lot of our teams, actually all 10 of our teams for this overall standings, they're in the Gulf right now. But, Robbie, that's because we've had 4 of our events in the Gulf already done. One more left to crown an Angler of the Year, a Team of the Year for that division. We will see some Atlantic teams possibly jump into there. Our one Atlantic team that is right there on the fringe of it, Donia Lucy, not fishing this week, should fish over the next few weeks and get their name in the hat even more, sitting in 11th place. One thing we'll see a couple more weeks before we see another Gulf event, so we'll see some action on the leaderboard from Atlantic teams as they fight for their own $100,000.
We've got more to bring you from Cape May, New Jersey, including the Gale Force twins. Let's see what they're up to when we return.
SFC coverage of the South Jersey Yacht Sales Offshore Showdown is sponsored by Seaholm Watches, by Smith Optics, and by Fish Razor Tournament Grade Tackle.
Whether you like to ride the wind, find your secret cove, or reel them in, plot your paradise with GPS Map Series from Garmin.
Remember, everything begins in the morning. Every story told is a fisherman's tale. We build watches tough enough to be a part of that tale. The perfect balance of beauty and brawn. We are Seaholm. Watches that last a lifetime. Seaholm Automatic, the official timepiece of the Sport Fishing Championship.
Yeah, baby! That's what I'm talking about!
Sport fishing anglers from around the world competing for $1 million. The Sport Fishing Championship on CBS Sports Network.
See it, live it, love it. The largest in-water boat show in the world, the Fort Lauderdale International Boat Show. More than 3 million square feet. Fishing boats to super yachts, engines, accessories, learning experiences, and culinary delights. Save the dates, October 26th through 30th. Details at flibs.com.
It all comes back to the water. This binding agent. This fluid history of connection. Past, present, and future, all tied together through this never-ending, unwavering force. We belong to a community of seekers, anglers, and everyone in between. For us, it's more than fishing, much more. It's who we are, who we were, and who we aspire to be. We are Smith.
SFC coverage of the South Jersey Yacht Sales Offshore Showdown is sponsored by Sword Fishing Products, by Publix, and by Yugo.
Welcome back to the Sport Fishing Championship. Beautiful Cape May, New Jersey. Haven't been there personally. I made it all the way down to Millville, the home of Mike Trout, but I just needed a few more minutes, and I'd have been to Cape May. I'm going to be there next month. I think I might have to head on over and see what it's like.
I'm mad that you brought up Mike Trout because he almost went to my college alum. If he wasn't drafted in the first round, he was the last pick of the first round. Ruined it.
Almost. You know what almost we had was on site with Site One. We almost had Aaron Hoffman a moment ago. Now we've got him. Welcome back, Aaron. As people cut in front of the shot, I think it was Douglas. I asked you about the weather before, and I know you were looking around. It looks awful overcast, but is it different between onshore and offshore today?
Well, I think this morning it started off a little, it was a very gorgeous morning. Wind kind of picked up there in the afternoon, but I think everyone's been having a good time. We've heard of some fish coming in, and it seems like doesn't matter what the weather's like. We got some fish here on the ground coming in.
Now, I know this is, the fourth year of this particular tournament, but they've been having fishing tournaments here for several years. I mean, some of the biggest tournaments, the first ever big tournaments came out of Cape May. I mean, there's some big fish out in those waters. Today, it doesn't look like the billfish are to be had. I know they're going to get tomorrow off. What do you foresee for 2 days from now?
Well, we can always hope for the best. And I know that we were talking this morning about some of the water conditions around here. Typically in this area with the Gulf Stream water, you have some eddies that bring in that warmer water into the 100-fathom line, which is just off of our coast, which these guys are targeting. It's been a little slow, but, things could change overnight. I mean, we see it every time you go fishing, that you never know what you can catch. As long as you can get out there on the water and spend the time with the family, it's a good time.
Aaron, we talk about some of the Gulf events and how the Atlantic's different. There's a lot more natural fishing here. You're not going to be fishing oil rigs and drill ships like that. So do you expect, we see a lot of our teams on that same ridge line, do you expect a certain area in the canyons to factor based on those currents? Or is it kind of just going up and down, making passes until you get around those billfish and those tuna?
Yeah, I mean, it varies. If the bait is there, no matter where you're on that 100 line with that upwelling, with the water coming through, if the bait's there, the fish will be there. But sometimes you need that upwelling on those deep edges in the canyons out there to really stir things up. We have lots of grasses out there. Again, that really depends on the different currents that are going. We have the Labrador current, which comes from north to south on the inside. That's the cold water. Then you have the Gulf Stream water that is going from south. It comes up off the Carolinas and shoots along our coastline. So. It really depends on having that condition there. But, we've seen a lot of tuna around inside the 100 line. So sometimes you get some marlin to kind of stroll in there and go feed on them. Yeah,
and Aaron, also when they're marlin, these blue marlin, if you catch them, they're big ones. I mean, it's not uncommon. You've seen it before, in years past, where there's been, the average would be 500-600. You could have a 900-pound marlin, but I know Spencer and Linden Cole seem to be the hot areas that a lot of people want to head to when they're at Cape May.
Yeah, no, they are. You know, we have the Wilmington and the Baltimore. You get down further south along the canyon line to you know, the Norfolk and the Washington. They're all real hot spots. I mean, you have guys that prefer to fish down south, where it's a little bit closer to that stream, and then you have guys that want to fish up north into some of those the deeper canyons. You know, both areas can produce fish, you know, all season long. I mean, like you said, we have some pretty large some marlin around here too. You know, it's a little early for those ones to come through, but we have seen them again because the bait's been here. You know, so we're hopeful that you know, it's fishing, man. You know, as you know, anything can happen. Crossed. So maybe tomorrow or yep, absolutely, Saturday could be the day. You know.
Thank you, Aaron. We appreciate that, and good luck tomorrow getting everything ready as they head out for that third and final day.
He gave a lot of really good info there, talking about the Gulf Stream going out, and then obviously the currents that come backwards, and we're going out with our Garmin Team Spotter out with Team Gypsy.
So this is getting some of the footage from earlier today, one of the catches, and evidently, I've been told this is Team Gypsy live. I don't know why they went back out, Ronnie. I thought they had to be back or stop fishing at 3:30. But
it's good to see these visuals, though. Live fishing out in the ocean is hard to come by at times, and so Team Gypsy maybe hooking up with another Invincible Boats yellowfin tuna or something, maybe a little more. They haven't put the belt on him yet, Robbie.
Yeah. They have not, and getting a little wore out there. And the areas that, you know, we were hearing from Aaron when they were south, or he's talking about those Wilmington and Baltimore canyons. Those are a little more southern. The Spencer and the Linden Cole were a little more upper. And we're going to get some diatribe from the teams. And when they come off the water, we're going to get their footage.
Yes.
We're also going to talk to them. We'll have them live, a couple of teams tomorrow as well, and see what they went. Because how often do we see anglers zig and they should have zagged?
That's the one thing that I learned from the Aaron Hoffman on-site hit there. He really gave some good insight talking about it's a little bit too early for those northern places to factor. You think these fish can swim a lot, Robbie, in a day, and if they're migrating north during that summertime portion, obviously these fish that are making their moves, they haven't quite made it that far north yet. They're still going to be a little, that's why when you look at our map and you see the teams in the 100-mile ring, they're all a little southeast of Cape May on that ridge. And so we're going to see a team this week, though, get hot, and they're going to be on the right portion, the right run of that ridge, and they're going to make it happen.
Ronnie, the other thing we have to talk about is, you know, with the tournament being day 1 and day 3, there's a big event happening. They're having parties. I know the people will be heading to Canyon Club Resort. They were there last night for the meeting. There's fish to be had, and we know it's going to come down to the wire because that third day of our event is going to be a barn burner. It has to be.
Yeah, that's when we're going to see a lot of guys adjust their game plan or stick to what they've done. They maybe see a good clue today, and they evaluate it tomorrow on the off day.
We're going to see a lot of Team Gypsy over the next 3 weeks. One thing I noticed about, see those green teasers, and there's a tuna that's coming on board. The green teasers, I heard it originally back at Cape May. There was somebody that actually drug green Coke bottles in replacement of that back before they
floated. That's good.
Hey, here's our Atlantic Division standings as they are right now. And Doña Lucy a winner, half a buck a winner. That's why they get those 3,500 points. But it's the catch points that will keep carrying event after event after event. And you expect to maybe see Doña Lucy in the next few weeks.
Well, and the catch points for Doña Lucy carrying through, those are all white marlin catch points, basically, and a few sales where half a buck had a lot less quantity, but 3 blue marlin gets them 1,050 points for catch points. That's going to be key. And seeing all these yellowfin tuna, maybe a couple bucks are going to be made by these teams this week in that yellowfin tuna by Invincible Boats category.
All the points add up, 350 for a blue marlin. You also have a white marlin worth 125, but we're still looking for that first blue marlin.
And the bonus points.
That's worth an extra 100 points. We're going to hear from the Gale Force twins, see what they're up to here in Cape May, New Jersey, next.
The Guy Harvey Ocean Foundation is honored to be the official charity of the Sports Fishing Championship. Through this partnership and the support of donors like you, future generations will enjoy and benefit from a naturally balanced ocean ecosystem. Our education programs, both in the classroom and online, bring to life the work needed to make sure we have clean oceans for decades to come. Join us today at www.ghof.org.
Sometimes saying no can be really difficult. it's hard to set boundaries, to give yourself space and time. Hop water means never having to choose between having fun or missing out. A sparkling hop water full of flavor and packed with mood-boosting benefits that's non-alcoholic with no calories, no carbs, and no sugar. So go out there and get up to no good.
Yeah, baby! That's what I'm talking about!
Sport fishing anglers from around the world competing for $1 million. The Sport Fishing Championship on CBS Sports Network.
When you're serious, you are as excited to wake up for a 4 a.m. fishing trip as you were when you were a kid. It means winning 3 World Sailfish Championships. It means you know what you need and what you don't. Being serious means seeking out the ultimate fishing machine, which is what Peter Miller has found in the unmatched handling, speed, and comfort of an Invincible.
It's the simple things, like spending a day at the beach, splashing in the water, playing in the sand, and creating sandcastle masterpieces. Rediscover fun and family on the beautiful white sand beaches of Gulf Shores and Orange Beach.
SFC coverage of the South Jersey Yacht Sales Offshore Showdown is sponsored by Invincible Boats, by Gulf Shores and Orange Beach Tourism, and by Salt Life.
We are here with Hannah and we are about to go clamming. So first of all, I think the first thing we need to ask is about your rooster on your lap. So can you tell us a little bit about Bluff?
This is Bluff. He's my special needs rooster, and he's going to be 4 in August. So basically, he has a genetic deficiency known as crossbeak, so he can't eat or drink on his own at all. So I have to take him everywhere, which includes clamming, tuna fishing, to work. He literally goes everywhere with me, and I feed him with a syringe, which we'll get some shots of later. He'll pose with you. You can hold him.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Get some pictures. So cool.
Oh yeah. And he has his own Instagram too.
Oh, I'll have to follow him.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been on the water since before I could walk in my dad's backpack fishing with him, and then as soon as I could walk, he would take me clamming, got me out in the mud, got my love for marine biology. Now I'm teaching it and living it basically.
I just found this clamshell, and however, I don't think we're gonna be looking for it visually. We're gonna be feeling for them with our feet, with the rake. So let's go find some hard clams.
Oh, that sounds promising.
Hold on. Here it is. I got one! Look at that! My first clam. I have yet to find one. This one's smaller than the other one. I have only found mudders. Okay, so this here is a mudder. Half of the shell. And mud. And mud. That's all it is. I got my first one, and it's not a mudder. Nice one.
Clams are sedentary. Once they are born in this mud, they never move. So you get a male clam and a female clam, and one will release the sperm, one will release eggs through their siphon, and those sperm and eggs will meet. They'll become viable offspring, and they're called spat at that point, S-P-A-T. That spat will look for somewhere suitable to settle. They'll float along until they find a good spot, like a mud flat. Once they settle in that mud flat, they're there. They're there for a long time, sometimes up to 20 years. So some of these clams could be 20 years old. Got it.
Is that good? Got a good little snack. Here we go. There's 2 techniques. There's the, what is it called? The rake. And they call it the clam dance. Shuffle. I find the rake easier right now. She's a professional, clearly. Did you really? Oh, make it! There we go. Oh,
clam dance. Oh, shoot. They're everywhere, guys. I don't know how you're missing.
So we're here for the Blue Marlin fishing tournament, but what kind of fish would you fish for out in this area?
So in the back bay, I would fish for flounder. A lot of people call them fluke. People will go for little like sand perch and kingfish, a lot of little stuff. This is an estuary, so it's a nursery. Lots of what you guys are going to be fishing for with the Blue Marlin starts right here.
All right, I don't think we got any mudders. This is what the clean clams look like. So we got to get all the clams in the basket to look nice and clean like this one. I think they're done. They did a good job. Hannah took us out for a fantastic morning. We learned a lot about clams.
I learned more about clams in that 3-minute piece than I ever thought I would know. On site with Site 1, ladies, the Gale Force twins, and I have to ask you, I saw the muddy ones. Do you know the ones that are clean? Do you know what they're called?
You tell me. I don't know. What do you mean?
The ones in the mud are mudders, so the ones
it's just a clam.
in the clean are called fodders. That's right, Ronnie.
I got you.
I had
Mudders
to do that
and
for
fodders.
Yeah.
I got you.
Mudders and fodders. Hey, good to have you back on board again. I know Ronnie and you were yucking it up at the last. He says he doesn't even eat clams, never been around them. He's had 2 oysters his entire life. You taught us a wealth of knowledge right then.
We had such an awesome time with Hannah, and I can't forget about her crossbeak rooster, Bluff. He was a really great character to have with us. He hopped on and off the boat like it was nothing, no leash, nothing. He followed Hannah around while we were getting our clams.
Clamming, and I would say that while we were clamming, Emily was crushing it. She was finding like all of them on her own. Hannah helped me find a lot of mine until I figured it out. It definitely wasn't totally easy, but once we figured it out, it was great. And I can't believe you guys aren't eating clams. We actually got to eat them fresh. After that, Hannah went ahead and boiled them for us and brought them to the captain's meeting, and we were able to eat them. Probably some of the best clams I've ever eaten in my life.
Ladies, when you come to New Jersey, we're coming for a Blue Marlin and a billfish tournament, like you mentioned in the package. Who knew that New Jersey was such an outdoor paradise? Clamming, you got the estuaries, the other types of fish that she talked about. This is really kind of a northeastern sportsman's paradise, like we talk about Louisiana and whatnot in the South.
It's definitely not something that you would think when you come to Cape May. You don't necessarily picture clamming, or not to mention that what you guys didn't see is we also saw some mussels on that mud flat and all the wildlife out there. We saw horseshoe crabs, and there's a whole nother fishery out here other than the Blue Marlin fishery. And what's amazing about it is that it all starts on those mud flats, because those Blue Marlin, those juvenile fish, they're all feeding off of that ecosystem and eventually moving on offshore.
So, ladies, we're talking about the fish of the sea, but where you guys have also covered the birds of the air. Tell me about the osprey that are native to this region and what you guys have learned this week about those as well.
Seeing the osprey in real life up close they're actually very large birds, which maybe I didn't realize, and they've got these red eyes that really stare back at you. What used to happen was over in Cape May, New Jersey, they were spraying these pesticides to get rid of the mosquitoes, and what was happening is these pesticides were dripping into the waters. The small fish would get these pesticides, and then it would basically go up the food chain. And the osprey, their diet is 90% fish. So these osprey would be eating these pesticide fish, and when they lay their eggs would basically crack. And they had to do a whole osprey rehabilitation, essentially. And what they would do is they were building these nests, which you can see they're building these nests, and they would check on these osprey, and the population has made almost a complete recovery, I believe, and now they're banning them for research, and we got to go up close and personal, watch them ban their osprey, and it was just really such a cool experience to see.
Pretty amazing. We're seeing some of the video footage from you guys and your trip there, and those are big birds, and oftentimes people say, oh, look, it's a bald eagle or something, because their nests are so massive.
Definitely. The nests are huge. Not only did we see what you would picture in a nest looking like, we actually saw things like flip-flops. There was some dock line in the nest. So people like Hannah, when they go up there, they check the nest out. And if there's something in there that is not meant to be there, they'll remove it. However, if it has become part of the nest and it's not hurting the birds, they will actually leave it, because it is there for a reason, because those parent birds, they put them there for their babies. And something else very unique is that she was saying that these birds kind of have personalities like people. Some of them, they
pack those nests like crazy. They put so much in there, pile them really high, and some of them are minimalist. So each bird itself is kind of like decorating its own little house. And I'll add to that too is that some of these birds might have a thing for flip-flops, and you'll find 5 pairs of flip-flops in these nests. And then the next bird might have a thing for ropes and lines, and you might find boating lines in their nest. So each bird will have their own thing, and it was really unique. She even actually had a friend once lose their hat overboard. It was their favorite hat ever, and then as she was checking on one of these osprey nests, she found that hat along with 3 other hats in a nest.
I thought you were going to go with flip-flops to high-heel pumps, the other options. Ladies, thank you. Great job. I know you got more to show us from Cape May. Glad you can be a part of it. Again, we get to sit here in the studio while they get to do all the fun stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, looking for clams. I mean, seeing osprey.
I feel like if you had a nest, you'd have a hoarder's nest. I got a minimalist
Absolutely.
nest. You know, I might have some flip-flops in there as well, but yeah.
Hey, look at this. Quantified. Well, Ed, I'm not even going to go there. 12,000 plus points for Quantified. They're in the lead after 2 victories in 4 events in the Gulf Division. Yes, they're leading the Gulf, but they're leading in the big picture overall.
Yeah, we've got 3 different kind of champions we'll talk about each event. Not only the champion for the specific tournament we're covering, but the Atlantic, the Gulf Division, and the overall. There's all kinds of points races these teams can get involved with. And Quantified, they started the year a little lower, 7th at the first event, but they're doing stuff a little different. And we got to see them charge up in the second event at the Gulf Coast Masters in Orange Beach, Alabama. And Robbie, wouldn't you have it? On the final day, they made a charge and ended up surpassing and taking the win in that event over Bandito.
An amazing run again. They're out of Orange Beach, Alabama. Several of our teams were, but Quantified, that 64-foot Spencer. We got Captain Jason Drummond. He keeps putting them on the fish. Drummond, but he keeps putting them on fish, but it's a variety of fish. It's not just the blue marlin. It's not just the white marlin. It's all 3.
Yeah, he's got a definite specialty. And one thing I'm very interested to see with Captain Justin Drummond and Team Quantified as they go to the next event. Robbie, they've been preparing since the first event of the season for this $1 million prize that we will settle in Puerto Rico, because not only have they stacked a couple wins and they've gotten fortunate, but they've also been on them and consistently as the conditions have changed. They're going to their home body and their home region. The next event is South Padre Island, Texas. And then also, they've had a core group of members on their boat that they will take to Puerto Rico. So they're going to be full in the rules to try to win that $1 million.
You don't even have to say a word. They know exactly what's happening. After a poor finish, a 14th place finish in the 3rd stop of the Gulf, they backed it up with another victory. They keep catching fish after fish after fish. I mean, they've had 28 billfish caught so far this season. That's double of what the second best team has.
And the disbursement, I mean, I think for most of these, probably the sailfish totals, I'm just going to guess, Robbie, I don't know, you have the number right there. I'm going to guess there's probably been 25 sailfish maybe this whole season, and they probably have
13.
They have 13 of them. Good. I was going to say 12 or 13 of them. They have really distributed the wealth with blue marlin, white marlin, and sailfish, and that keeps you versatile. When the blue marlin areas are highly pressured with multiple boats and the odds of being efficient aren't there, they have other game plans they can go to.
Change it up. 350 points for the blue marlin. Everybody's looking for those, but the white marlin, second most in points, 125. And you keep adding up enough sailfish. 75 points, 75 points, 75 points. Again, 13 times this year they've gotten 75 points. That is amazing, and that's why they're in the lead.
And that's broken some ties for them with other teams when it comes to other events. It's gotten them good points positioning. And like we mentioned, these catch points add up every event. I'm interested to see, because in the Gulf events, Robbie, we have the drill ships, the oil rigs, the fads, and also the river rips, where the Mississippi River dumps out into the Gulf. You can run those lines where all the sargassum kind of gathers together. There's a lot of different things you can fish and target. For the Atlantic Division, these teams, we're going to have to learn over the next few events how they're going to separate themselves from that one ridge and the canyons that are there. Maybe a turn in the canyon is going to be key. We will see that factor.
If I'm one of these teams watching the Sport Fishing Championship, you see the points and how you accumulate them. Your best 3 finishes you can pick up next week, and it can be your first event, and you could still win this championship. Again, 3 first place is what you're looking for as far as the event goes. Their drop now would be a 7th place finish. So if they don't finish better than 7th, that's not a bad total to have right there. First, 7th.
Yeah, exactly. And 9,000 points out of 10,500 possibly.
Solid.
That is almost perfection. And then they've got almost 4,000 catch points, with 2,000 of them basically coming at Destin in their last win.
But a team that can surpass them on the event side is Southern Charm, Moncherie. They could do it as well. Again, Southern Charm coming off back-to-back 3rd place finishes. Though a first at South Padre Island, 3, 6, we're at to 7 total now. I mean, if if Quantified doesn't do better than that 7th place, Southern Charm could take advantage.
Yeah, 2 third-place finishes to start the season. Great for Southern Charm. And really, it's been efficiency.
Yep.
Owner Ron Davis and Captain Landon Bell, they had talked about how efficient their team had been in the first few events. That hasn't necessarily transpired the last few events, going 1 for 3, 2 for 4, things like that. And they've been a little bit frustrated, not because they haven't won, but because they haven't executed like they planned to. We will keep an eye on them, though, as they go to the final event of the season for the Gulf, because they can replace one of the worst finishes of their season with a good one there.
That'd be 11th. That's their worst finish. So
one thing that's also an aspect that we've talked about, you mentioned Mon Cherie, they hadn't planned to fish any of these events. Damon was getting married, said, hey, why don't you guys go fish the Destin event? They did. They didn't do that great. They did get some catch points there that'll go to their total. But then I heard they're not making the trip to Costa Rica. They're going to stay around this region, which means we should possibly see them at Puerto Rico for the final event, which is a game changer because the top 3 teams are in it to win it now.
Southern Charm, again, the 63-foot Hatteras out of Orange Beach. You saw Tara Davis Hogaboom with catches this year. They're kind of going the wrong direction as far as their blue marlin catch. Started with 4, then 2, then 1, then 1. They need to pick it back up. They still have one more Gulf event left. And again, if they want to show up in the Atlantic, we're more than happy to have them.
And the one thing's for sure, yes, you could be near your home. I'm not saying anything about Team Quantified being near home at South Padre.
Makes no difference.
But it's another day of fishing. You can be on the right group of fish and not get them to the side of the boat. You can be on nothing and stumble upon a great pot of fish. It is fishing, not catching, and we will see who can maybe come through with it.
We saw several teams tied for 11th place at the ECBC. That was the crazy point, and there's not a tiebreaker this year. Rules can be adjusted as the years go because that's not typical in sport fishing. Typically, they would break ties by who caught that fish first, but here, if one tied, they all tied.
Yeah, we don't want to hinder a team from making a run possibly to deeper water, to another rig or something like that and fishing late. But obviously, getting in that tie helped them a lot. They had one fish for 350 points, but they had 1,200 points there for their finish points for Destin.
And again, and 3rd overall is Southern Charm, and their drop is an 11th place finish. That was at the ECBC, their last stop.
I walked up to their boat at the end of the day when they got back to the docks in Destin, and I said, hey, good job. You guys made a cull and culled out your 17th place finish. They were still bummed that it wasn't higher, but hey, it's progress. They moved up the leaderboard, and that's what matters.
And Mon Cherie, you mentioned them a moment ago. They're just in front of Southern Charm. They had more points in the first event than, say, Quantified had in their first 3 events. I mean, that tells you, as far as catch points, it's amazing what they can do in a short amount of time. Let's take a look ahead with Smith Optics, where we are at next. Martha's Vineyard next weekend. We're back-to-back Atlantic events. Back-to-back-to-back, that is.
3 in a row. We're here in South Jersey. Next week, we'll be in Martha's Vineyard. You'll actually be in Martha's Vineyard with
looking forward to
Peter Miller. And then Montauk right after that to wrap up the Atlantic division before we go to the Gulf and Puerto Rico. And I'll go to Montauk, so we'll get a little bit of New York flair for both of us.
$100,000 is on the line for both the Gulf as well as the Atlantic division. And Ronnie, if you're leading both of those at the end of your respective division, you know what's next. I'm trying to win that $1 million in Puerto Rico.
$1 million for that, $100,000 for the divisions, and also the money you win from just doing well in these events. I'm excited to see what happens this week for South Jersey.
That's a lot of money. Hey, tune in tomorrow, sportfishingchampionship.com, 9 a.m. We hope to see everyone then.
A day out on the water could go great. Or it could have a few minor setbacks. Things could get rough. Or you could lose that $900 smartphone. Whatever the problem, Yugo provides unmatched premium protection for any water sports adventure. Yugo. To get yours, visit YugoWear.com or simply scan the QR code on the screen. And remember, just add water.
Some call it joie de vivre, the joy of life. In Louisiana, it's our way of life. From music that shakes up your senses to food that wakes up your palate. That joy vibrates in every note we play and spices up every meal we serve. So come live life to the fullest. Come one, come y'all, come feed your soul in Louisiana. I'm Sean Ardway, inviting you to plan your trip at LouisianaTravel.com.
So, you want this, but you can't have it without this, or this, or this. Until now, introducing a new way to travel, intranationally. Get all that international charm without ever leaving the country. Right here in St. Augustine, Ponte Vedra. Get all that culture, all the cuisine from that culture. You're welcome. All the gram-worthy sites from that hashtag culture. It's right here at home. St. Augustine, Ponte Vedra. Travel intranationally.
Get it, slip it, cuff it, check it. Talk to doctor now and share it.
Get it, slip it, cuff it, check it. High blood pressure silently affects millions of Americans. Staying on top of your blood pressure is as simple as these 4 easy steps. Self-monitoring is power. Visit manageyourbp.org to learn more.
Yeah, baby! That's what I'm talking about! Sport fishing anglers from around the world competing for $1 million. The Sport Fishing Championship on CBS Sports Network.
When it comes to performance, comfort, and functionality, we've got you covered. Performance apparel designed by anglers to make your time on the water better than ever. Salt Life, the official apparel sponsor of the Sport Fishing Championship.